Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by Echo Park Automotive and NASCAR on Fox. And this week we have a great start to the season with our defending, reigning Daytona 500 champion William Byron. And this was all part of a special project that you'll see as we go over the next little bit here. But William, to me, is one of those young guns that is on the path, to do great things in our sport. So hopefully you enjoy the time that we got to spend with William, and here you go. Well, today we're here at the 1010s Club, and I've convinced William to come out here and talk to us about his upcoming season. So how have you been? How was the off season? Did you enjoy it? Decompress? Do everything you wanted to accomplish?
I did. It was nice. I did a lot of traveling, so it was kind of nice to just go around. Honestly, went around the world to Japan,
really?
And yeah, that was a lot of fun. So
wow.
I enjoyed that, and then did some one family trip and a few trips with my buddies. So it was cool.
So what was the inspiration to go to Japan?
So I had a desire to, like, during the Olympic break, I went to Greece, and I felt like I just really enjoyed it. It was peaceful, felt away from everything, chance to see a different culture, and honestly, Japan's a culture I was really intrigued by, and I feel like their food and the people and everything about it was something I wanted to see.
So would you suggest that for somebody to go do?
I would.
Really?
I think I wasn't the only one. I think Daniel Suarez was there too, a different time. So
cool.
So yeah, it kind of worked out to where it was just somewhere I wanted to see.
And when you go into the winter and you go through this crazy off season or this crazy season, and then you go into the off season.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have like a time period of what it takes you to kind of say, okay, I'm ready to go back racing, or is it just you want to take all the time, or do you get bored in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's I feel like it's different every year. Like the last couple years I've done the Snowball Derby, and like I've been racing the whole time. So I felt like this year I wanted to get away. I honestly was not that burned out during the season, but once the season ended, I was like, okay, I want nothing to do with it for a while. And by the time I got to like January 3rd, I was really ready to get back in the race car. So I don't know, I feel like it's different every year. I just try to listen to what my body's kind of telling me.
So we try to explain that to Mamba, and he decided that he should take his vacations the week of the Clash. So I'm glad to hear that you do normal driver timing. So
yeah, he took a lot of vacations.
He did.
Seemed like.
Yeah, he's just permanently
cruises,
on vacation.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of his gig. When you look back at last year, and you guys fired off really well.
Yeah.
Kind of flat in the middle of the season. Kind of came back, made the championship 4.
Yeah.
What do you guys go back and look at? You and Rudy and your team go back and look at and say, okay, we needed to do this better. I mean, obviously, the easy answer is to run better at Phoenix, but
yeah.
we needed to do this better leading up to Phoenix to be in a better position with speed, handling. Where do you go back and analyze what you guys did last year to say you need to do better this year?
Yeah, we needed more balance in our race cars. Like when we started the year, we were kind of imbalanced to one direction, and honestly, that took us a while to kind of work that out of our race car. So like we were that way for most of the year, and we got to the fall, we still had that issue in the first round of the playoffs, and we just kind of reset. We're like, look, for whatever reason, the sim or whatever is not telling us the answer that we need to have, and our car wasn't feeling the way I needed it to feel. So we just started chasing what I needed to feel, basically still using our information, but going more in that direction. And the last 6-7 races of the year, we had a pretty balanced car. I thought we could have had more speed probably, but at least our balance was in the direction we needed to run top 3 to 5 every week.
So you came from sim racing. Like that's how you started racing.
Yeah.
A lot of people know that story. But I think when you look at today's world, the simulator and sim and the engineers, and it can be exhausting from a driver standpoint to be in there every week. So how do you balance that? Because it's really easy to get yourself off into right field when you're not focused on it, or something goes wrong, or they plug a number in wrong, or whatever the scenario is. Do you think that's where you went off on the right track, on the wrong track, or just kind of explain to everybody how you can get off on the wrong track, because it is so easy with all the technology.
Yeah, I think there's honestly too many resources now. So you have to pick and choose what you use, and it's different for every racetrack. So for me, like I always wanted to be the guy that went into the sim so I could say, okay, I know I'm prepared because I did this many hours or whatever. And I feel like now it's, with my experience level, it's more about picking and choosing what actually works for that specific track. So like it's different every week. Like there's tracks I completely ignore the sim, and then there's tracks that I use it pretty heavily. So it just kind of, it depends, and that drives your meetings with the team as well throughout the week. Like if they're gonna use your information, you got to make sure you're giving them the right information, not from the wrong source or the wrong kind of tool, I guess.
What's your relationship like with Rudy? You guys have been at this for a few years now. You picked him right out of the Truck Series. What gave you that confidence, first off, to say, okay, Rudy's my guy? Was it your experience with him before? Because typically going from Trucks to Cup or Xfinity to Cup is a little bit of a transition, but you guys already clicked. I mean, you clicked right off the bat. Yeah,
he's a winner, and I feel like that's all I needed to know. Like he knew how to win races, and he had that drive and desire to push people, and that honestly was what I was looking for. I knew the gap in knowledge between Trucks and Cup was going to be a little bit different, but like I knew he knew how to win races, and I figured as soon as he could adapt to the Cup car, he would know how to do that too.
When you talk to Rudy, he's always pretty quiet, pretty calm. What gets him? Does he ever get wound up?
Yeah, he
yelling?
Yeah,
yelling?
Not yelling. He just gets he bottles it up sometimes. So he'll be like in the hauler, just like staring into his computer and just super angry, and not to talk to him. So you just give him a minute and he comes back. But I think he probably bottles it up a little bit, and I do too. So we have to make sure we keep talking.
So who's the mediator there? Like when you bottle it up and he bottles it up, who gets you guys in a room to say, okay, let's talk a little bit? Because that can be challenging.
It's tough. I mean, usually it takes somebody else, but sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I just have to kind of lay it out there and be vulnerable with him. But it can be tough. So I think anytime we kind of get in those periods where we're not maybe running as well, it's important to do that.
You have a unique relationship with your family in a great way. And I've been around you and your dad a few times, and just that genuine care that you guys still have in the professional environment. Can you explain how that helps when you need to get away? Does it still help you? Because I'm not saying it does, maybe it doesn't, but from the outside looking in, it looks like that your dad is a person who can say, hey, William, can you go talk to Rudy? It just seems like you're frustrated. Is that a tool that you still use?
I do.
Good.
Yeah, I do. I think he knows me really well, and he's hands off enough to where he kind of gives me that space. And then, I don't know, every 10 weeks he might come in and say, man, honestly, it takes me to bring it up to him to say, hey, I feel like this isn't going well, this relationship, and he'll offer his insight. But he's never the one to like come to me with the information or say, hey, here's what you should do. And I think that's why it's special. And but honestly, I think we've grown a lot from just not talking about racing. Like as I race more, it's like I just want to talk about other stuff. I want to talk about friends or what I'm doing, traveling, and so we'll talk about other stuff probably more than we do racing. But when it comes up, it's valuable for sure.
What's your thing going into this year that I always had something in the off season? I want to get stronger. I want to be more cardio. I want to concentrate on the sim. Is there something that you said, okay, I need to focus on this year to make myself better? Yeah,
I've been doing a ton of working out. So I feel like I got a pretty good routine with some of my buddies back home. And and it's funny you say that. Trying to get stronger is definitely one. And I don't know, just trying to stay more balanced, just trying to stay balanced off track, on track, so I'm fresher mentally.
Do you have a hobby?
I have a few. It's a good question. I want to get into diving, so maybe that's...
Like deep sea diving?
Yeah, that might be something.
Do you have a particular
My family's like, don't do it.
Really?
Just start out, honestly, just, getting certified and then just go from there. But golf's always fun. My golf game is just up and down. So. Yeah,
golf takes a lot of time to figure out exactly how to be good at it, and then about the time you get good, you just wind up bad again.
Exactly.
I was never that great at golfing. So you look at last year and you start right off the bat with the Daytona 500, and winning that race is like nothing that you've ever experienced before. When I won it, what was it like, and how was it different winning that race compared to any other race that you've won?
Yeah, it honestly, it took on a lot more meaning once the race was through, and honestly the season was over, because I got a chance to reflect. But I just didn't know what that race really meant until I won it. Like I really didn't. I don't know if I appreciated it as much as it needed to be. So I feel like once it happened and I experienced it, just took on a whole new meaning, and honestly something that I definitely is a career highlight and something I'll look back on a lot.
Where's the trophy?
It's in my what do you call it? It's like in my little sitting room, like sunroom.
Yeah.
So it's actually in a pretty nice spot. It's on the coffee table, and I've moved it around 3 times. So.
When you look back at the finish of that race,
Yeah.
did you think you were in a position to win the race at the end before the wreck happened?
Yeah.
Or were you just in, hey, I'm going to help my teammate push mode? What was your thought process? I know that
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that have happened in between then.
For sure. Like, yes, I did think we would be in a position to win because of the way we structured those stages. Like we would save fuel and then jump and leapfrog to the top 10, and then we'd be able to race it out. So we were in a great spot in stage 2, like finished top 3 in that. And I felt like, man, if we can just duplicate that in the final stage, we'll be there. So we got to 10 to go, and it got to 3 wide, and I was a little bit, like there was just 3 wides tight at Daytona. So I wasn't sure I was in the right spot, but the middle lane was a decent place to be, and Alex and I were working together. And then that wreck happened. I had to kind of quickly mentally reset because I felt bad about the wreck. I felt like a lot was going on. But I knew lining up on the front row with 2 laps to go is a position you don't get very often. So like in this car, lining up on the front row is a huge deal. So I felt like in that moment, I felt like I had a really good chance to win.
You've had a few years in the car now, and you look at the way that you have to race those speedways. Do you like it? Not like it? You got to save fuel. You got to do all these different strategies. Is that something that you enjoy? Because for me, I have to constantly explain to our TV guys, and Clint especially, that there's a strategy that goes along with super speedway racing now that is unlike it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I can't say I loved it when it came around. Like I got stuck in gridlock for a couple races where I couldn't move, and honestly a couple playoff races that didn't go our way where we just got stuck in like 10th to 12th, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to figure this out. Like I'm gonna have to figure out how to either save enough fuel or be really good on the cycle to come out in the top 4 or 5 to have a shot, because if you're not in the first 3 rows, you don't have a chance to really move. So honestly, it took a little while, but I feel like I'm in a better spot with it now, and we've had a lot of good speedway races lately, so it could be luck, it could be skill. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but it's worked out.
Yeah. Well, it worked out to the tune of a Daytona 500 Harley J. Earl trophy. So that in itself is really good. When you look at that race and you look at the celebrations and you see, Rick and Linda, you had a great celebration where you drove the car to his house, and
that was cool.
At one point this year, after winning a race. Yeah. What's it like driving for Rick Hendrick? You drive the 24 car. You've got Jeff Gordon in the building. Yeah. Are you over that you drive the 24 car, or do you still have to kind of pinch yourself and say, this is a pretty historic car, and the expectations that go along with it. Have you learned how to balance all that, or are you just comfortable in it now? Yeah,
I'm comfortable because it's our own thing now. It's our own car. We made it our own, but I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Like it's like driving it's like being on the Yankees. Like it's just such a historic place. Driving the 24 car, it honestly has so much meaning, and it just has the history, and you feel sort of responsibility to win. So it never goes away. That pressure, I don't know how it would feel in a different situation, but like that pressure never goes away. Like I won my first race, won my 12th race. It just continues. So there's always that expectation, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I love driving there, and I feel like it's a nice home for me.
Jeff told us that when he came to do an interview, he told us that he was more involved in the marketing side, and I find that so hard to believe, because I always viewed Jeff Gordon as, when he was racing there and driving the car, as the leader of pushing things in a particular direction. He was always so good at explaining what was wrong, and he would go to the engine shop or the chassis shop or whatever that was, just from the driver's perspective. Is he really just involved in the marketing side, or does he actually get in there and help?
Yeah, he gets in there and says his 2 cents.
Figured.
For sure. But he feels bad sometimes because I don't think he knows as much as he would like to in terms of how the car drives. So, but he'll say his 2 cents in the competition meeting, and he still has that responsibility.
So I guess the last question I have is typically the last question that we ask on this show. What was your first car?
Oh, interesting. So I couldn't shift when I raced late models. I missed shifts all the time in late model stock. So my dad got me it was a single cab Chevy Silverado that was blue, 2005, stick shift.
Shift.
Just had one seat across it. It was honestly it was great.
And that's how your dad thought he was going to teach you how to shift.
Yeah,
did it shift anything like the late model?
No. Yeah. It was like I used the clutch. It was super slow. I mean, you use the clutch in the late model stock. So, but I guess it helped me a little bit.
I don't remember who it was on our show, but they had the same type of experience.
Really?
And they got in the truck, and it was a 3 on the tree, and they couldn't figure out how to get it out of the parking lot. So, do you remember the first time you had to take off?
Yeah, it was. Well, it's like reverse is like in and just like the race car, but yeah, I mean, I probably burned the clutch right out of it.
Was it in your driveway at home?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I drove it. Yeah, I drove it like for 2-3 years.
So
it was great.
Could your dad drive a stick shift?
He never drove it. I don't know. That's
so
a good question.
You don't actually know if he actually knows how to drive a stick shift. That's funny. You're going to drive a stick shift, kid, but I don't know if I can drive it.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for taking the time. Well, I wish you luck this year. Congratulations on
Appreciate it.
everything that you did last year. I know you want to win the championship, and you guys have had some great seasons, so good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you, dude.